Corey Morgan. I guess I'm in the minority here, but the reason I tune in every single Monday for 96 consecutive weeks is for Kevin Sean's take on everyday life and topics, sports, everything but modern wrestling. I don't watch either AEW or WWE or follow it at all, but I do love the discussions about wrestlers from my youth, which was the 70s and through early 90s. Hello from Crescent City, California. Best podcast on the planet.
Well, I mean,
What's
it was
going on?
we kind of I mean, Mania was the largest or the most minutes or whatever the fuck they figure out streaming.
Oh, wasn't it a billion or something?
Yeah, like a 1.2 billion minutes streaming or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then they were talking about...
No, it's their subscriber base, Kevin, wasn't it? Their subscriber base over all the platforms?
No, that's all on social media.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if it was Meltzer or somebody said how bad, like it was the worst pay-per-view buy rate this last Backlash from France. It was like the worst buy rate. Like their pay-per-view. I'm thinking, you're kidding me, right? What does this say here?
Backlash 2024 had the lowest pay-per-view buys in history, according to Dave Meltzer. Quote, the Google searches were the lowest for any WWE pay-per-view. So the first week number, it was like 3,700. Financially, the pay-per-view number doesn't mean anything because most of the people are going to be watching on Peacock. But the one thing a pay-per-view number can tell you is how much interest is there. So this one was down 39% from the same period leading into the Chamber show, which was the Perth show. It was the lowest in history for WWE shows as far as pay-per-view buys, and it looks to be by a significant margin. Wrestling Observer. So, but
does that mean that the Backlash isn't going to get very many stars? Is it a 1-star pay-per-view?
It may be. The start time for Backlash was 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, that's a good time.
Bear that in mind. 9:30 a.m.
Pacific. I'm going to set my alarm and watch wrestling at 9:30.
But the business drift, we had Paul here. What I would talk to him about is the business decision. If you don't wake up until noon, you can put on your WWE channel and watch this, right? So the broadcast itself is less important than getting into the market.
Yeah, because my whole thing is when you do determine that you're going to watch it, and you do watch it, and when you watch it, you say to yourself, is it really that fucking loud, or is this because I didn't watch it live? So I text Paul.
Right.
I said, like, wow, like, fuck, like, was it really that? I said, and I believe the statement I made to Paul was, that crowd was so alive that it made a 64-year-old man want to take a bump. And Paul responded to me was, we could not hear each other in gorilla position. So, okay, Backlash might not have been the most bought pay-per-view, but
you opened the market.
Anybody that watched it and saw the optic of how fucking live that show was, I mean, it's like, whew. Like, but we're not even talking apples and oranges. We're talking the United States military against Egypt. And Egypt has a fine navy, and I believe they're 15th in the world militarily. But they're not the fucking U.S. And that's where we're at right now.
You mean with AEW,
AEW and WWE, yeah. I would say that AEW is Egypt.
Okay. 15th.
I believe that's what.
Change your wrestling in there,
what is? Look up what, because I thought I'd looked a couple months ago.
The fact that these facts are accessible to you, this is
to my brain.
When people text us or post about listening to the show, when people suggest that you do show, it's because their navy, their Egypt is the world.
Steve, you've got to find my info for it. I don't give a fuck about
Jesus.
AJ. Rhodes and AJ.
All right, while he looks that up, Tim Malcolm also listened last week and said, is this an AEW podcast now? No, but nobody, literally, no one cares about AEW. One episode was fine, but I feel like every title now is something Tony Khan or AEW, just like 83 weeks. Come on, this is supposed to be a different wrestling podcast. Well, this week we haven't talked about it, other than comparing them to North African countries' naval capabilities.
No, I said Egypt has a fine navy. They've got our old F-16s, while Israel has.
Okay, the Egyptian Navy is the largest navy in the Middle East and Africa, with around 30,000 active personnel, 20,000 reserve, and 320 vessels. It has a long history dating back to ancient times and has played a major role in many Egyptian wars. In comparison, the U.S. Navy is one of the largest and powerful. It has over 347,000 active duty.
There's an actual ranking, if you Google the rankings of military capability.
All right. Not everybody's as well-versed in this as you.
Well, I mean, goddamn, I could pick up my phone and say,
you could give yourself an 8-pack in 30 seconds. Why can't we find...
Watch how fast I can do this.
Want your AI an Egyptian's face on yourself right there.
Maybe I'll walk like an Egyptian.
Kevin, I'm still seeing Navy. I think what Kevin means is overall military, right? We're not just talking about Navy with 15, right, Kevin? It's overall military might.
Where is Egypt's military?
According to Wikipedia, the Egyptian Armed Forces Chief of Staff's office is in Cairo. He is the Chief of Staff of the Army, as well as the Navy and Air Forces.
He's going to be the GM on it.
How strong is Egypt's military? Egypt has the most powerful military in the Arab world and is ranked 15th out of 145 countries, according to Global Firepower's 2024 military strength rating. Saudi Arabia has the second most powerful military in the Arab world, ranked 23rd. Algeria, of course, coming in third at 26th. So
there you go. I mean, and you were right on the money.
Boom, 15. I know my time.
Practically like an episode of Florida Man, Jersey Guy.
Well, it feels like an episode of Fallout.
Tony Baloney.
I'm in Bunker 33. How long is Egypt's military? Egypt has the most powerful military in the Arab world and is ranked 15th out of 145 countries, according to Global Firepower's 2024 military strength rating. Saudi Arabia has the second most powerful military in the Arab world, ranked 23rd. Algeria, of course, coming in third at 26th. So